This conference will now be recorded.
Good to go.
Alrighty.
Ready, set, go?
Yep.
All right, we will call to order the regular city council meeting of the city of New Richland, July 25th, 2022, 6:30 p.m. All council are present. And we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approve the agenda. I may have something here. Let me look. We need to talk about the railroad tracks on First Street and Division. Tony, where would you like to put that?
Let's do 2 under new business.
2 under new business? Where is that?
On
Oh,
the back.
okay. And then we need to talk about protocol on weekend issues. Where would you like
You're
that?
gonna do that under new business too, that's fine.
Okay.
So at number 3 then?
Yeah.
What'd you call it? Protocols?
Protocol on weekend business. And that's all I have.
Okay.
Motion to approve the agenda with the addition.
Second.
Motion by Jody, seconded by Lauren to approve the agenda with additions. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda items. The list is the regular meeting, special meeting, a right-of-way permit, 3 right-of-way permits. How would you like to handle that, Tony?
If there's no concerns or problems with any of those, one motion can satisfy the consent.
You have the permits and they don't have to be signed or anything?
Once they're approved by you, we sign them, that they're approved by the council, and then tell them they can do it.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Lauren, seconded by Chad to approve the consent agenda items. Any other discussion?
I just have one question. On number 3, Tony, the Midco Tower, where is that?
All the way down by the dump.
Don't.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Is that where they were cleaning all the brush and stuff out earlier around that? Okay. I didn't know that's what that was, but okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Then we jump down to ordinances and resolutions. We have resolution 2209 updating or adopting the updated building permit charges.
Mayor, if you wanna go around those and come back to those once you're done speaking with Dan Murphy, who's here to talk about building permit fees, we can do that. So if you wanna move to department reports, you're more than welcome to do that.
Thank you. Care Center report. Kevin.
Well, it's his understanding that he wasn't needed to be here unless you just wanted him to introduce himself. I just came from the meeting, from the board meeting. Where's the report?
I got it up here now.
Okay.
Can you see that up there, Lauren?
Yeah, here I see it. Does anyone have any questions? I can just tell you a couple things. Have quite a few staffing shortages.
It's getting worse.
It's not getting better.
It's not better. We do have one application for a city administrator, or for the, sorry, Tony, not city administrator. I misspoke. For the Care Center administrator, so they're doing a little more research and vetting that person out. We would have made a little bit of a profit this month, but our financial, if you're watching, if you have a 401k and you're watching it, we've lost about $70,000 in the last
On our investments?
on our investments the last couple of months.
Ouch, is right.
Yeah, so we're a little over 500,000. We're about 432 right now. So that doesn't look good when you look at the current month or year to date, but a lot of that is a loss because of the investments. Staffing is a problem. I mean, we're getting referrals is not a problem. We had 38 referrals last month.
Does the care center, not say require, but depend upon passive referrals, or do they go out and be active and try and recruit and go look to places to?
I think the word is out there to other places, like if you look at the referrals.
Mhm.
Now, there was a referral from Fargo, North Dakota. How that ever happened? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they even ask or interview. Most of ours come from like St. Mary's in Rochester. Usually we have more from Mankato. Well, Mankato was second this time at 9. So there's the largest. There's 22 out of the 38
Yeah.
referrals. So I think the word is out there with hospitals that, we do have beds open and we're looking for residents if they meet the requirements, depending on how you pay.
Those far away ones like North Dakota could be a family member
Right.
that
Could've.
wants them down here.
Yep.
Could be.
Well, you just think about between here and Fargo, there's a lot of nursing homes that they could go past or care centers before they get to Richland. So you're right, it probably is a family thing. I don't know. We
If
just
family
don't.
is around here, yeah.
Yeah, it could very well be. Or it could be in Iowa or who knows. So staffing is a problem.
That's not just here.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So otherwise, things, other than our finances, the investments causing a loss, they are turning a profit, which is what we like to see.
How long is the administrator position open?
I think we kind of agreed until filled, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He, Kevin Gish, the interim, signed an agreement to stay 30 days. So that would take him till September 8th.
In our conversation that we had, it sounded like that could potentially be 2 to 3 months. But
Yes.
that was about as long as he wanted to take.
Yeah. He lives in Bemidji. He's retired.
Loves hockey, great guy.
Yeah.
Plug.
Yeah. So he's not making this long. He's not interested in making this long term. So he's doing whatever we can to find someone who's qualified, stick around and help them make the transition.
Yeah, his big thing was to help the care center, because he really didn't get anything from Dave as far as transition documents, and we talked, and his big thing was he wanted to make sure that there were actually written transition documents for something to reference to when they came hired, and that he would work through with the process to make sure that they felt very comfortable before he left.
Correct.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's doing great.
Well, a new administrator will appreciate that.
Yes.
For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
He's a good guy. He's been a hospital administrator, care centers, assisted living. He has tons of experience, so he
Good
knows.
balance.
Yeah, he knows the
Compliance.
rules, laws. He knows he knows what to do. So he's
deal.
doing fine. So I think we'll find someone. We'll just have to wait and see. So unless somebody has any questions, that's basically what happened at our meeting.
Okay. Any other questions for Lauren?
I don't know.
I'll make a motion to accept the care center report.
I'll second.
Motion by Chad, seconded by Jody to approve the care center report. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. People's service report. Shell, how's our lady doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good.
I'm sure everything you're gonna tell us is good news.
Yeah, I've been mowing and weeding and,
Fun stuff.
yeah, work orders are getting done, labs are doing good. I'll save the yucky one till the end. How's that?
How about till next year?
Yeah.
I wanna know what these snails.
Yeah,
That's the-
I'll wait till the end.
Okay.
I went to OSHA training again, so, I started putting cages on all the open motors, so nobody gets a hand, fingers missing. So, chains, yellow paint, still finishing that confined space You don't need them all over anymore, you just need one on the front gate, so I got it out there. DSG will get us those, quotes on the plug valves that are in dire need. Snails, back in 2009, Bolton and Mink had came out because of snails. You guys have really bad snails out there, and they plug everything up.
For sure.
They die once a year, and they float up, they wreck your life, and they're wrecking my life. So, I need to get rid of these snails, so we wanna do it, you know, we don't wanna use a nasty chemical that will wreck everything out there, because you won't get a good product, so. MPCA is working with me on figuring out, the best possible thing to use besides salt outside, grow some garlic, rosemary, chives.
Serious?
Witch doctor,
they don't
what
like
kinds of stuff.
Why don't you call the Willows and see if they put escargot on their menu?
I know, right?
Huh? Yeah.
We
Yeah,
started
there you go.
thinking about it and we thought, well, you know, years ago, you know, in livestock, they would have snails in their livers. So it could have started, you know, very, very long ago. They're unique. They don't know if they came in the collection system or just showed up.
Well-
But I'm getting rid of them. But
Good.
She will too.
I
I
would say
will.
she's
They're
not,
not going to stay.
she's not a fan of snails, apparently.
And the
Yeah,
worms.
they're plugging up all the pumps, so
Sure.
I'm down motors right now because they are plugging them up.
How do they plug it up?
They just, all their shell, and see, when the shells get smashed, it raises the ammonia, and you don't want that, because we don't have an ammonia limit, and we don't want one, so we don't wanna crush them.
Hmm.
But, when the snails get in there and they go through these volutes, you know, and there's earthworms in there, there's, you know, grit and debris, and everything just ends up sitting in there, and then it just jams my
Oh,
pumps
okay,
up.
gotcha.
You know, so I'm down one clarifier right now, and I'm waiting on someone to come pump it out. My pumper can't do it, I can't pump it from that far. So. it's
Have
over
you
200
had to go
feet.
through this before, other places? So this is new for you.
We have a very unique
We have a very
wastewater
unique-
facility.
We have a
Very
very
unique.
unique town, period.
Very, very unique,
With unique people.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
But,
Shell and I are in communication pretty much weekly, a couple days a week
Yeah.
about this stuff. And we're just, once we find a solution, we're gonna just do it because it
Okay.
needs to be done.
Yeah,
That has
that's
to be-
fine.
Make it happen.
If everything would have been cleaned out, like on schedule once a year, like each part of the treatment center, you know, it would not be like this. So everything needs to be cleaned out at certain times. That's just the process.
We're finding, Shell's been doing a very good job on covering that some of the maintenance things that should have been going on for the
Got
past
it.
many years have not been going on. So
Hmm.
I'm on it.
we're trying
Yeah.
to figure out a solution to that problem.
Yeah, and make it not so expensive and just boom, you know, it's right there on you.
Well, we
So-
can't have this kind of stuff being ignored and then
No.
wrecking our equipment.
Yes.
Well, that's one of the things that Shell talked about, these pumps that she's talking about. She has some valves that she can open and close to change the way things go through the plant. Some of them aren't functioning properly, so she's not able to do that. So I told her we need to get those fixed right away so that she can do her job the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah, they need to be done. I use them every day.
So Shell, when you talk about maintenance, is there a schedule? Are you creating one of things that should be done like weekly, monthly,
I have
semi-annually?
monthly work orders. Monthly
Work
work
orders.
orders, yep, I have a monthly work order, and I don't know why do you guys know?
Yeah, no,
Oh, Here you go.
you guys didn't get it because it just came through, Friday.
I know, I was a little late on
Monday.
some stuff.
Here, it's up here on the screen.
Is that
Yeah,
what we used to
so
see?
like, it'll say effluent sampler.
Yes.
Controls tubing sampler, working
Okay.
great. You know, like I just redid all of the hoses in that last month. So if you looked at last month's, you'll see,
Do you prepare this work order or is
No.
this?
they send it to me.
And
Oh. I
so
had to.
some of this stuff was not being
Who's that?
done.
Well, I don't know. I don't have any
This
of the
is the
back
first
papers.
time I can tell you that I've seen something.
Well,
Really?
so this never used to come when Brad
Oh.
was here, we never used to get a
Find out
copy of
that
this,
Correct.
but
I thought I saw this before.
no, this was no, we never got this when Brad was here. No, this has just started coming since Shell's
Go
been
down,
here.
let's see. Yeah, like the backflow preventer I put on there, you know, it was done December, that's a yearly thing. Minnesota Pump Works was there. Yeah, if you read these every month, you'll see all the business. I put a lot of business on.
But,
this.
you know, a lot of times in certain places when you have different employees, some don't pay attention to detail like Shell does about stuff, so.
Yeah, I like it to be done
Yeah, very well aware of that.
very nice.
Yeah, this is great.
Some days you might see a little lengthy paragraph, but.
So that's where I'm trying to go with this for you, for your guys' information. I'm trying to figure
I've
out
got it on my,
some of the stuff that wasn't maintained was supposed to be maintained in the contract that we have with People Service.
Mhm.
And then I can have a good discussion about how we're gonna fix some of these problems that are
Okay.
coming on.
Perfect.
Yeah, so and then I'm gonna print out the whole year of this.
Okay,
So it'll give me everything that's, you know, due monthly, and then there's quarterly, and then there's yearly. Like
Sure.
right now, all my clarifiers come into play where I change all the oil. So that'll come into play this next
Okay.
month, so I change everything, all of those, so.
and that's supposed to be done yearly?
But I got synthetic oil now, because before it was twice a year, well, the synthetic, I can do it once a year,
Okay.
so save it.
How do you know all this?
She's good.
smart.
She must
Does
be.
changing the interval though, maybe
Training,
you wouldn't
yeah.
see something
That's
happen
higher.
that you would see in this every twice a year when you look at it instead of once? Cause I did that with synthetic oil one time.
Yeah.
I lost a few things that
I went through our distributor. So, yeah, well, I made darn sure nothing was gonna happen. The only thing I had, was a shear pin on the clarifier, but that had nothing to do with it. That was just, it just flexed one day, so I repaired it.
And does this change the maintenance thing and what you're talking about by seasons? Is something different to do in the spring than what you do in
Sometimes.
fall and winter comes and,
Yeah, I don't wanna change any oil in the winter.
okay.
I don't wanna do that when
Well,
it's warm.
I would guess you're not working on the air conditioner in the winter time.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that on the
Yeah.
report, so,
Yeah, so some things you'll see on there not running at this time.
okay.
And it's not running at this time. Sometimes I might write, it hasn't ran in 25 years. I might write that on there because it hasn't, because I wasn't here, so.
Okay,
But
perfect.
I'll, for the next meeting, I'll put the whole year on there, and I'll put on there how many times a year,
Okay,
monthly, quarterly, semi, whatever, you know what I mean. I'll put it all on there, and who does it, if it's me or if it's the, you know,
Yeah.
whoever, like the boiler guy or whatever,
Okay.
you know.
perfect.
I'll put it right on there, and then you can see it.
Okay.
Yep, that's good.
Tony, will you be working with Shell on budget items for the?
Yeah,
site
well, yeah, that's part, so Shell has been great, and she got me a list of things that need to be addressed out there, and so trying to go through and kind of prioritize what needs to be fixed now, what can wait, and so, yeah, I'll work on that.
plan? The big ticket items for the capital?
Yeah.
For one, and then any, looks like, because there's a lot of maintenance.
There's a
stuff
lot of
that we're
electrical stuff.
Well,
responsible
like the
Okay.
cages I saved, because I just made them. And they're pretty fancy, pretty fancy.
I'm not surprised.
And then I do just have a note on here too, MCP reporting, so I had a conference call with MCPA about our permit, and they would like that response to them by the end of, I told them the second meeting in August is when Michelle's back again, and I would have it to them that following Tuesday, so between Michelle and I, we need to work together.
Yeah, is there anything I need to do?
We just need to
besides
figure
review?
out what, between you and me and your bosses and our engineers, we gotta figure out,
Chloride.
yep, and how soon we can manage it realistically. And then she said basically it could be as little as 5 or 10 or 15 years, as long as we have a plan, we can reissue that permit. So that'll be coming for you guys to authorize for the next meeting, but I just wanted to make you aware that we were in the process of doing that.
Okay, I'll add up everything that I have, but I have a few samples that I want to run.
Yeah, it's the good news is that as far as chloride goes, we are on the very low end of being over.
Mhm.
Of everybody the same size as us, we're on the very low side.
We're very, we're
Teetering.
low.
So,
Good.
So they're,
Still-
so they said the nice thing about that is if we're gonna take a little longer than other people, they're probably gonna let that happen because we're not quite the big problem.
We're not a problem.
Well, we're a problem, but we're not quite.
Well, you're the
Well,
And I'm working with the county shop trying to
Yeah.
figure out the
Sure.
salt intake too. So,
okay. I appreciate you staying on top of these things and bringing them to our attention, especially for budget purposes.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we need to know what we're up
and
against.
what you're looking at in the
Yep.
future,
Yep.
so,
Yep.
yeah.
Don't be surprised.
Otherwise, yeah, that's all I really.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's good.
I got chased by some murder hornets the other day.
Ooh.
Did you guys hear me screaming?
Oh,
No.
is that what that was?
Bad.
Where, out there?
Yeah, I call them murder hornets. I don't know what they are. Hornets, they're bad. They're really bad. They were really bad.
Did you get stung?
Oh, I got them. No, I killed every single one.
But
of them.
did you get stung? You did get stung.
She likes taking
Thankfully
things
you
out.
weren't allergic.
Yeah,
The snails?
9 times.
Snails and hornets.
Snails and hornets.
You were bitten 9 times?
9 times. It was not fun. I was
No.
running with them. Then I went and got the hornet spray and my fly swatter and my brother's
Fly swatter. You need his beekeeper
I
suit.
was like this, running.
Yeah, hornets kill those suckers.
They're nasty. Yeah, they're not good.
Well,
Okay,
thank you very
so,
much.
Tony, just let me know.
Yeah, are you here all week this week, or are you gone again Tuesday?
I'm here this week. I go on vacation next week,
Okay.
so
Just when you
Or- Or one day.
I'll be gone. I'm taking a week off. Now, someone will be here to do rounds a
Mhm.
couple hours a day, but that's it. So if you need anything.
Michelle's been very good about keeping me aware of what's going on.
Yeah, if you need anything desperately, I don't,
Yeah, stop in tomorrow.
yeah, I'll give you the numbers.
Well, enjoy your
I'm
vacation.
going to
Yeah.
the beach,
Yeah.
so yes.
You going to the beach? You already have a tan.
Oh, I'm going to the beach.
Well, have fun.
Get
Okay.
those toes in the sand.
I'm gonna. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have fun.
Accept the people service report.
I'll second it.
Motion by Chad, seconded by Jason to approve people service report. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Alright.
Opposed? Carried.
See you
Thank
all
Thank
later.
you.
Take
Bye.
care.
Have a good one.
You too.
Don't get caught going too fast home.
Okay, Water and Street Department.
Signs look good?
No real problems with the water or anything around the area. Everything looks pretty good at this moment in time.
What kind of training did
Smart
Braden go
aleck.
to?
That's just future stuff that he's planning to
Oh,
separate
okay.
into training. So I asked him and he said, this is just stuff he wants you to be on the radar about. So, the booster pump got ordered. I think he's got 2 or 3 street signs left to hang. Otherwise that's almost done. And then,
You're up to date.
these 3 things on the bottom, seeking recommendation, he's still waiting on some bids and stuff, so that's just kind of an idea to just kind of be on the radar for the other stuff that's going on, but,
And the Broadway project, is it?
still
parts
waiting for
there?
parts.
Oh,
Still
still
for
waiting?
parts, yeah,
Okay.
so.
Sounds like they might have found them. They just
Okay,
gotta
they're just not
figure out
here yet.
how to get them here.
Oh,
Gosh, it would be
Are
nice
they
to
gonna
get
do
that done.
anything when they're putting up signs to make sure the poles are,
They're fixing anything, they're trying to fix whatever they're able to, yeah.
because I saw a couple of them almost tipping over.
Really?
Other than that, everything looks pretty
Yeah, they're nice.
normal.
move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Lauren, seconded by Chad to approve the street and water report. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Are we going down to unfinished then?
Yeah, we can keep moving and go back, yep.
All right, classification and compensation study, Mark Goldberg. That must be you, Mark.
So I invited Mark to come just to kind of, I know we got the proposal, but there were some phone tag stuff about who was doing what or what actually meant what, and so I figured that he would be way better to explain that whole process to you, plus you can ask him questions directly. So he's prepared a short little presentation that we'll run through, and then after that, we can definitely get your questions answered about the process.
We can also have questions during. We don't need to be certain.
Okay.
So that's
All
this,
yours,
that's this information we got from,
David Drown and Associates. Yep.
okay, stop it here. Okay, go for it.
So David Drown's been doing this for a long time, over 20 years. But most of our background has been in the financial stuff. We started the class and comp piece maybe 6-7 years ago because so many of our clients were asking for help with HR. So I joined about 1.5 years ago now. Before that, I was with Arthur J. Gallagher, helping to lead their public sector group. So I've got 25 years doing class and comp work, about half of that just within the public sector. So you just want to kind of go through it a little bit. Yeah. Our goal is to have this be a long-term relationship. Most of our clients have been with us since we started, and we've just kept adding more and more. But the idea is keep looking at this stuff and make sure, you don't just do a project and then come back 5 years, 10 years later and say, oh, geez, what happened? We don't know any of this stuff. And that's a lot of the work I'm doing now is fixing people's projects who haven't done anything for a long time. So that's why I talk about ongoing maintenance with that. If you want to skip ahead on that,
Okay.
kind of talk a little bit. Some of the people on our team with this, the person you probably be talking with the most is Kelly Jones. He'll be working with me if you do use us to do the data analysis piece behind this. So, you know what? Even skip that.
Okay.
I know you guys have questions, and I know you've looked at a lot of this stuff. Look, we've done this. Before I started doing consulting, I was the comp manager at the Met Council. I was one of the comp leaders at the U of M. So I've been in kind of your shoes and doing this stuff. My partner, Dr. Tessa Melvin, she was with Dakota County, and she was also city administrator. So basically, everyone on our team has worked in public administration and knows this stuff. So it's not just, oh, we're giving you a report and we walk away. It's we want to have a relationship with you and have you come to us when there's other questions around stuff later. So with this, what are we doing? And I can kind of walk you through each one of these, but the first thing is figuring out what you got in place now. What's there, what isn't there, kind of where are some gaps. The market analysis, we're going to be talking with you. If you want me to say, okay, here's a list of 15 or 20 different cities, I can do that for you. Or if you have a list that you've already worked with and you want me to kind of add to it, piece of cake. But the first thing is always to go through and say, here's the list of comparables. And we do want to try to get at least 15 or so. Because if I don't have 5 data points for a job, I really can't tell you what the market is for it. So you get at least 15 places, you got a pretty good chance of getting all of your matches. And we'll share that with you. I have a spreadsheet that I think I've sent to you, like, hey, it's a dynamic spreadsheet. If you want to look at whatever cities, we can pull that up and kind of look at comparisons. I like to look at a couple different pieces, whether it's median family income or financial pieces, population size. What we're finding a lot, though, in Minnesota is you got to go beyond just your small area because people are being drawn from all over. So if you've only looked kind of right around here, I would highly encourage you to look beyond that. So after that, classify the jobs. And we have a couple different systems we can use to classify it. If you want to stick with the state system, not a problem. I hate trains, so I've used the state system many, many, many times. And then come up with a budget for you guys. And say, here's what the structure looks like, here's what the impact is going to be. For this year, for next year, and here's how you can put this in place. Big picture, that's kind of what we're looking at. Mayor, I see the wheels turn. What questions do you have then?
And this is just in reference to wages?
Yes, ma'am. Now, we can pull the benefits information for you. But I'll tell you the truth, benefits really doesn't change that much generally from city to city. You'll see some differences maybe in some some healthcare contributions, but I'm not going to be able to go in and say, oh, here's your plan and here's the differences in your plan. I don't have that level of expertise within the benefit side. I can say, all right, the city of New Richland contributes $500 for family medical and other cities are doing $700. So you might want to think about doing that. But that's not going to get into the details of the plan. Like, okay, your plan says if you go into the emergency room, you have 0 copay, and over here it's $100 to $200, or there's a higher co-insurance. That kind of stuff is not, we don't do that level of detail. But general stuff, yeah, we can provide that. Yes, sir.
You made the comment of a lot of people kind of focus in their area, the same towns in the same area, and you said go further out. Explain your reasoning of that, because
Yes, sir.
why, I mean, I'm just thinking myself, why would you think that somebody would go somewhere else, yes, but why should we base our pay or our benefits on what it is in an area that's completely different than us?
Well, you want to look at services. So here's an example. Olmsted County is one of my clients. One of the comparisons Olmsted is using is St. Louis County, about as far away from them as possible, but they provide a similar level of service, and there's some similarities in how they're approaching things. So we're using them as a comparison. So you want to look, especially because everyone in the state is becoming much more geographically mobile.
Yeah.
And, when Hennepin, I think it was Hennepin that said, we're just going virtual completely within the county system, and it doesn't matter where you live. That kind of threw shockwaves. So a lot of places are drawing from a greater geographic area.
Well, how would you answer a question if I had a concerned citizen saying, why are we paying Minneapolis wages to live
I
down
wouldn't
here?
use Minneapolis wages. So
Okay.
you want to look at cities that are close to you. Use a couple of factors.
Size though too?
Size could be a factor,
Okay.
but it may not be. So the city of Medina was one of my clients, and they're fairly small, but they were actually drawing and using this comparison some larger cities because of some stuff that's going on within their city, like the Medina Ballroom and some other stuff. So you need to look at who's comparison to you. Population is one piece, and geographic certainly should be. It's not like you should completely disregard it. I
Right.
wouldn't suggest that. But to think about, hey, here's some other cities, maybe around your size, maybe have some similar wastewater treatment. They other places that have a waste. What is yours? Class B?
I think so.
Yes, I think so.
So you might want to look at other places that have other cities that have Class B licenses around the state. Okay, let's look at that for comparison, because just right around you, there may not be enough data to draw upon.
So
And I
you look
can-
at all of that when you're deciding on what the comp or the pay plans are gonna be and the classifications
And
and
then I'll
stuff.
pull that information, because we have rosters from many, many cities, and the ones we don't have, we can always get. So we'll have all this information and then provide it to you and say, here are the 5, 7, 10 matches we had for this wastewater treatment plant operator, this admin assistant, the city administrator. Here's what this looks like. And there may be some cities that are much larger than you that you want to keep an eye on, but you don't necessarily want to have in the analysis. Let's say you wanted to include Mankato. Okay, we can put that in there, put it in what, as we call, spotlight. So it's not included in the overall analysis, but it's there, so you can just kind of keep an eye on it. So it's like,
Okay. That's kind of where I was getting, like if somebody did come up to us, when you say that, you can at least give a reasoning that we're like this because they're kind of like that, even though we didn't take them into account for our stuff. Okay, because we're looking at it as a big picture.
correct. Yes, ma'am.
So what I hear you saying is you're trying to compare apples to apples
That's
as
correct.
most often as you can. As the old saying goes, apples to apples, oranges to oranges, so that we, as a city, we make fair comparisons based upon who lives here, the income that's here,
That's
housing, whatever it may be. It's a fair comparison.
That is correct.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
Well, what I'm hung up on and always have been is our tax base. You can shoot us numbers of what we should be paying. Can this city handle that?
Can you afford it?
Mhm.
Well, that's where it becomes an interesting question, because you'll have to figure out what your pay philosophy is. So if when we do our comparisons and you are 7% below on the minimums and the maximums, is that okay? That may very well be an okay statement. You might say, we're fine kind of being right around here. Just so you know, when I'm talking about market, I say plus or minus 10%. So if you were 7% below or 8% above, in both cases, I'd say that's market competitive.
Okay.
Now, there's obviously a little bit of a difference if it's 7% below versus 8% above, but in both cases, I would define that as market competitive. But you, as mayor and council, can decide, here's what our comfort level is. And I have had a number of times in the past, clients that say, oh, we want to be market comparison, right, market competitive, right at market. Data comes back and they're 5-10% below market. And they're like, we're okay with that. But it's okay.
The other important piece of this, I think, for our city is when we're having these challenging conversations about why are we not getting applicants, why are we not getting people to stay, we can show people in our community that the reason that people aren't staying is because we're not paying a competitive wage for them to stay.
I don't think they're gonna care about that.
Well, but then the community's gonna have to be okay with turnaround, and it's gonna be
Exactly.
regular.
And
I
then they have to
understand
be okay
that.
with people leaving.
I get that. I'm just, you know, they're already upset with the taxes.
Yeah.
You know, I guess that's my concern is we can't keep piling it on and on and on,
But they
Because
also
they're
wanna
gonna
use
leave.
the amenities that they're paying for though too.
but they're gonna leave too, you know. I'm just
It's
playing
a
devil's
catch-22.
advocate here.
It's Catch-22.
But Mayor, I want to
It
be able to
is.
provide you the
It is.
information. I don't know if you're at market, above, below,
Right.
but I want to be able to tell you, here's where you're at. Where's your comfort level? Where do you want to be?
And quite honestly, I don't think we know.
No, we don't know, and I think that's a
We've
really
known for
important.
years, but that's why this is important.
Yeah, this is why it's important.
Yeah.
To find that out.
And we've been using the state's
State match system.
evaluation system, but you know, that's one of those things too, where you may look at an applicant, or you may look at a position, and I may look at a position, and you may assign it a point value, and I may assign it a completely different
Right.
point value, just the way that I view it.
Yeah.
So we don't know, we don't have a formalized.
Our system is a little bit better. There is always going to be a subjective component behind it.
Yeah, no,
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
But I would just, we are so far away from a starting point, we need to start over, if that makes sense.
It does.
We need to have a spot to start. So like your spot, I know for a fact that the city of Winstead did a pay study and they found out that everybody in the city was underpaid, and the council said, well, we're happy with this is the way it is. If you wanna work here, you work here. If you don't, you don't. That's just the way, and that's what he's saying. You can get all the data you want to, and you can decide not to do that. I mean, the only important aspect of the whole thing is that when it comes to pay equity, that everybody's equal. That's it.
And you're
And
making an
is this
informed
gonna
decision.
fix our pay equity issues that we have?
Well, we may not even have a pay equity issue, but points wise, we're gonna be able to be.
That's what I mean. It's gonna
Right.
give us some idea that this is where we belong.
Mayor, if you do use us, once we're finished with doing market analysis, classification, give you a structure and the kind of sign points, all you have to do is give me a pay equity login. I'll run a check and make sure everything will be fine.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah,
So.
Because that's where
I
we're
just
struggling.
think that this is something we have to do. I mean, we don't even know where we're at. So-
yeah, we do. Because if people ask us questions or corner us and go, I mean, really the only answer we have is, well, I don't know. We don't have any current information. We don't have any current data.
No.
We have nothing. We can look at that chart, but it's not even accurate.
No, we don't know if they're on there.
No, we don't know. We have no idea.
Okay,
I wanted to look up here at number 1. I'm looking over here, but it
Yes,
says no job descriptions, right?
right. It sounded like your job descriptions were fairly accurate.
Most of the
Oh,
job
were they?
descriptions
Okay.
are fairly, I'm actually in the
Okay.
process, I just finished 3 and I'm transferring over to that new format, so as
Okay,
I'm doing that,
I'll
but yeah.
take a look at them.
Yeah.
See if I-
but
Yeah.
you think our job descriptions? you
I think they're
are okay?
fairly close.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
All right, fine. That's just one question I had.
And if you need me to tweak something or get feedback on it, I'm happy to do so.
Okay.
So maybe it would be best if you just wanna break down those options for them. So-
Yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you.
So the first option is just doing everything except the job descriptions. So we do the market analysis, we do the structure, we do the classification, we do the structure, we do costing for you, and kind of do everything. That's the 6,700. And we would also do the pay equity for the market.
minus the job description.
Yes, because it doesn't sound like you need it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second one is just doing market analysis, just helping you a little bit. We're not evaluating the jobs, so we wouldn't do a classification. We'd stick with the current system. We just kind of tweak your structure for you, and that's what that would be. The third option is we're just doing market analysis. We're not doing anything with your structure really, except maybe making some general recommendations. And, here's what we're saying. And the fourth option is ongoing maintenance. That's where we do a third of your jobs each year over a 3-year period of time and just make sure that everything's kind of updated for you.
So Mark, let's just say in a perfect world, we agreed to this tonight.
Mhm.
How long before we get some, either a preliminary or a final or however you do this?
It can be pretty darn quick, sir.
Really?
Yes. So
Pretty darn quick.
pretty darn quick means if you decide, hey, we want to do this tonight, and you know, hey, here's or you tell me, Mark, come up with 10 or 15 cities. We have a list of 5 or 10. We want you to add to those. I can turn market information around for you within a month, within probably about 3 weeks. And then evaluating the jobs, a couple weeks. I mean, once you finish the job descriptions, I can turn those around really fast within a week or two. And then at that point, then we'll talk about what you want to do for structure.
Okay.
So this could be very fast, but part of it's going to depend really on how quickly you want to, you want to pull your comparables together.
Would this be beneficial, Tony, to have some information that when we do the budget?
I would
I would think so.
I would think that it would be nice if this was, if we shot for an end date of middle to late November.
Tony,
Okay.
I can absolutely.
I
How
was
will
thinking
that play
October
into our
1st.
budget though?
Well, we set a preliminary high and then we, based on what we come in with there, we can always scope things down.
I'm,
I was just gonna give you a long, but yeah,
he said 3 weeks, come on, Tony.
I can market data for you.
yeah, I think that we need to have it, we really need to have this information for the police department discussion. We really have to have this piece of information with comparables and market data and things like that for us to make, even for us to give, let's say we do decide that we want to go to a public hearing on this, we need to have the numbers. We can't just go there and say, what do you want? And if everybody says, yes, we want it, well,
Yeah,
well,
then somebody's gonna say,
tell them how much it's gonna cost.
yeah, so someone's gonna ask, well, how much is that gonna cost? Well, I don't know, we don't really know.
Yeah.
So
Well, you can't have that kind of plan.
I think it's gotta be done, and I think you need to, I can't tell you what to do, but I would really recommend that you go with the first option and we pull the plug on it, because.
I'm not sure. I'm short of sounding ignorant. I need a picture here. The difference between 1 and 2,
The difference between 1 and 2 is with 1, you're getting everything. With 2, we're not classifying the jobs. So we wouldn't go through and either use the state match system or use one of our evaluation systems. We have a point factor system that we can use or decision-based model.
So we'd be back on our own to classify.
Correct.
you would.
And I think that's the biggest piece of the
Yes.
puzzle that
Yeah.
I agree.
we need to.
Yeah, I don't think we should do it on our own. You have the data, you have the information, you have everything you need.
And I have a system, the point factor system we use, I
Yeah.
think would work really well for you guys, and it's worked well for other small and medium-sized cities.
Okay.
So, I can share that with you when I get back in the office. But
Yeah.
Tony, have you had a chance to see where we would draw this money from?
No, I guess I didn't really look. I think, to be completely honest with you, we're gonna save that money with just the transition in the police department before the end of the year. So, I mean, I can look for a better place to put it, but we will have the money to do it. It's just a matter of where it comes. We may go over budget in one category, but at the end of the year, we're gonna be,
Short.
yeah. So, we have the money, it's just, I gotta make it look a little bit closer to where it's gotta go.
So how is the payment? Do you want do you get half when you start or all of it when you're done, or how do you do this?
whatever you're comfortable with, guys.
Okay.
Well, let's wait till 2024.
Let's not wait quite that long.
I don't
But-
think that's what he meant.
That's not what he meant.
Yeah.
Sounded open-ended to me.
It was open-ended. Let's not be that open-ended.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you want to wait until the project's done,
Rather
you're
what you
comfortable
get
with everything
cheap
you pass.
I think we leave it.
What have they done in the past? What do you think?
That's most common. Some places do want to have, pay a little bit up front and then the rest.
Mhm.
Sure.
Sounds like a good
But-
plan.
I think
I think if they're happy with upon completion, I think that's great for us, because that gives us a little time to figure out exactly where we're going.
Exactly.
Honestly, that's where most of my clients do and how they approach it.
Okay.
But that's-
Being that Tony's talking about helping with the budget here, and thinking, I'm just asking you this, have other cities came back to you and said that the money they spent was well spent because they saved it, or more than saved it in budget stuff?
Considering that most of our clients continue working with us for years, I would think that most of them would say it's well spent.
I don't know where you think it's gonna save us.
That's what I'm asking.
It's gonna cost
Well, I
us.
know it's
Well, it
gonna cost
could,
us.
You know, we might be low. You know, it's gonna cost
Well, I
us.
think.
Well, but like we talked about, just because we're low doesn't mean that you have to make that up.
Yeah,
You-
right.
yeah, but then it's your ability to explain when you have a citizen coming in and saying, why can't we keep somebody in this position?
Oh, yeah.
You can go, well, here's the deal, we're doing our best to maintain our tax base. We'd be happy to pay somebody more, but you're gonna have to be okay with your taxes. And that's the conversations that we need to have.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that I can't help you with. Sorry.
So the other thing, it's a protection for pay equity. It's, we have a concrete system.
Yeah,
And
that,
not only that, but as Gail, you and I have discussed, it's a third party outside the city looking at our stuff instead of
yeah.
people within this. So it kind of takes that.
Takes the
Factor
pressure
out.
off
That
of us.
pay equity thing has really bothered me.
Yep,
mean,
I don't disagree.
It's too unclear.
So,
Mhm.
so
Believe it or not, it's
that,
gotten a lot more clear over the last couple of years. When I was having to file, when I was at the Met Council, it was, even for someone like me who's worked with multivariable regressions for years, I was kind of like, what is this? So they've gotten much better, believe me.
We haven't seen that.
Oh.
Not yet. We're hoping you can help us with
Yes,
that.
ma'am, I can.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the $6,700 for the classification and compensation study by David Drown Associates.
Okay, motion by Lauren, seconded by Chad to approve an agreement with David Drown for $6,700. Tony, you got the verbiage, right? Any other discussion?
I got a question for you. When people are doing like we are doing right now, and they're saying, we want that first package, does anybody also say, I want the third package, because we want to continue on after this is done?
You know what, honestly, if you wanted to next year say, you know what, could you help us do ongoing maintenance, we would do that. Or if you wanted to call me up on an ad hoc basis to look at a job or to get market information, we can do that just as easily. So,
Well,
like I
once
said,
we-
sir, it's more just building a long-term relationship.
And once we get it set up,
it'll be a lot easier for
Yeah.
just some routine maintenance to take place.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yep.
so that's nothing we have to commit to
Nope.
at all.
Yeah, let's just see how it goes.
Would anybody say, let's do that also?
I
Right
wouldn't
now?
yet.
No, there would be no reason to.
Well, it's kind of like when you go to Walmart and buy a refrigerator, they ask you,
You want the paper.
you want the warranty?
You want the extended
Well,
warranty.
I think we're saying no.
Okay.
Don't you get calls on that?
Even saying, we don't want to do this, you call, if there's a job and Tony's like, Mark, can you evaluate this job? Yeah.
Okay.
It's like $150 for a job.
Oh, yeah.
We might create a new position.
It's not like we
somewhere.
have 20
Can you call me?
employees.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. We'll be fine. This is the only part we need to
I
do.
think,
we need
I
to
think
start
if
that.
we had 20 employees and it changed all the time, then maybe.
Yeah. That's why I asked the question.
All right,
What's your
any other
question?
discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
All
Good
right.
question.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. We'll be in touch.
I'll give you a call
Thank
tomorrow.
you.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, Mark.
We're expecting good things.
I'll do my best.
Okay,
All right.
good night.
Thanks.
All right, building permit fees. What was that?
I said I learned a lot of things. Wow.
You're got one up on me then, that's. All right, you're Dan, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
I invited Dan.
He's the only one left.
I invited Dan just to discuss some things, and I've actually learned a lot about the building permit process since our last meeting, so I feel a lot more confident about some things, but just as I shared with Dan, Jody had brought up the fact that he had a few building permits, and on his cards, there was never any finals done or anything like that, so I'm being here only since March. I don't have a full grasp of everything that's going on since that time. Everything is finalized through the office, and they do not receive payment until the final comes in. That card may not be signed, but from that point on, I'll turn it over to Dan just to kind of explain how the process works.
Just to address the finals anyways, finals,
many times the card is not accessible to where we can get to sign it. But the inspection slip that we write up for whatever, roofing, siding, windows, footings, whatever, that gets attached to the original copy of the building permit. And then when we bill, that final comes to the city. So it does get filed in with our paperwork here at the city. Sometimes, yeah, I guess that's kind of how the final process goes
Well,
anyways. So,
as a homeowner, and I said, use me as example, how do I know that there was a final? I never saw you.
sure. You can give us a holler.
Yes.
Were you guys here? Yeah, we're here on such and such a date.
Here's my phone number. I'm lucky if I got a call back, but I never had anybody come down and want to just, eyeball. And that's,
Well, and
in
they,
some counties or cities, it's,
Mike was actually here, and Mike was actually in town today, and
Who's
Did-
Mike?
he works for Dan. He's usually the guy that comes around. and-
Mike Benson.
Mike Benson.
Yeah, like that.
But he was in and he had his inspection notices and he fills them out and everything gets done. And then, like Dan said, once the final is final, then that inspection report gets signed off and then attached and it's all logged
It's
in.
that way everywhere. I mean, it's just not in Urch on the cards. I mean, the
So,
slips.
yeah, I mean, the only thing that I could think of is maybe we can add a step where Sarah Joe or I could call and say, hey, listen, your building permit got finalized today. But,
Sure.
the problem, especially for them, is that they may go through 7 different towns in one day and hit a whole bunch of spots and nobody's home, and so, it's tough for them to do that, but.
How do you know when an inspection is ready to be done?
24-hour notice.
Yeah, by code, the company or the person causing the work to be completed should call for all the required inspections out of the building code. A lot of times, we don't see roofing, siding, windows, decks. Those are the most common ones that, it's complete, the mess is gone. And so then what we generate a cleanup file. So then, like in the wintertime, when we're a little slower, we'll come out and do those inspections. And
Otherwise, you rely on the homeowner to give you a call?
homeowner or contractor, yeah.
Are they pretty good about that?
Yeah, it's not, well,
Yeah.
no. Some are, some aren't.
He's a construction guy.
Yeah, and the construction guys, the roofers will, they work hard and they get to do the job, and inspection is probably one of the last things they want to think about after sweating on a hot roof on a day or whatever, so. And it works out well for us in our slow time. First quarter kills us, nothing's going on in first quarter, so when we get those roofing, decks and siding and windows, we go out and just get those finals all cleaned up and do our inspections at that time. Kind of spreads that income out for us a little bit, so.
Okay.
But that's kind of how the procedure is. We're within, I just looked, we're within 2021, 2022. We have one out there in 2018.
I was just gonna say, that's what I was gonna mention, is that we just had one final from 2018 or 2019 that they finally got paid for. So we're not paying up front. We're not paying until everything's finalized.
I guess a shed house.
Yeah.
Mike was like, I've been trying to get in there to get these things finalized up. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's been that long already? I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The building permit is good for how long?
Technically, by code, the way the language would read is it just needs to start within 180 days. So
Okay.
the permit is issued, the project needs to start within 180.
Okay.
From there, it's just kind of, it can be open-ended and drag on. Typically, what I kind of do as a policy is, about a year after the last inspection that we've been there, say it's whatever, a remodel, and it just kind of petered out, or they went out of business or something like that. Kind of give them a year after the last inspection date, because if they work like I do on my own home, it's going to take a little while. So we usually kind of give a grace period to get them cleaned up, and if they never call, then we end up just expiring them. So.
What if they're not done?
Yeah, then they would have to, after we abandon or expire the permit, then I think it's to reactivate the permit, it might be like 50% of the permit fee.
I think it's double.
Is it double?
I think it might be double.
Well, I think, we have one that's been going on forever, it seems like. And so I'm wondering, at what point do they reapply for a new permit, or do you know which one I'm talking about?
There's a couple of them.
I was just gonna say, there might be a couple, but.
And he's probably well aware of which ones we're thinking of.
I took a look at in the statutes, because code changes, and, I mean, it can be a few letters within the law that changes, and then you go back and read, oh, wow, oops, that's, that kind of thing, because it's constantly changing, so.
Well, the one I get quite a few questions. How long is that good for? How long does it go on?
That's, some of, I want to say Mankato, this would have been back in like 2007 timeframe. They included in their zoning ordinance, if it was something like exterior work, it would have to be completed within an 18-month period or something like that. Because statute or Minnesota rule, I shouldn't say statute, that's statute under whatever, without going through the rigmarole. Minnesota rule would talk about that it would have to meet ordinances and state building code. So that's kind of where I think Mankato maybe focused on the ordinance side of that verbiage within that, within the rule, within the law, to put that into their zoning. Because I'm sure they had half-sided houses and Tyvek blowing in the winter.
I think that's what's happening with this one. It's been, its exterior has been a few years.
And then, that, okay, it turns into almost a nuisance property, I guess it could. It's blight. How do you handle that legally without diving into an hourly rate attorney? That's where the real difficulty when you're arm wrestling with some folks is like, okay, well, fine, get blood out of a turnip, I can't finish siding my house.
Right.
All right, it is a code violation, it's a misdemeanor under state statute. I don't know, I think misdemeanor is like, maximum penalty could be like $700 a day and 90 days in jail or something crazy like that, but.
Would that have to come through our law enforcement, or how does that work?
Yeah, if there's a infraction,
For the state building code, they can do that?
yeah, I could, because it all falls under a statute that they could cite, 326.
I'm not familiar with that, because I've never dealt with that, so
I'm almost hearing like, if once the permit has been issued and they've taken that long time frame, he doesn't, or they don't get involved until it has to be looked at again. And if that's a 2 or 3 year time period, it would almost be better for us to look at adopting or amending our ordinance to stall that process so they don't kill that long.
Yeah, like putting a limit on it, like he said in the zoning.
Right.
I don't
I
know
made a note
what's,
of that to look at Mankato to see how they do that.
Yeah, and I guess that's 2007, so it's a
Yeah,
while
I'm
back,
sure.
but I'm sure they've got something similar.
Because
They can help you out with
wouldn't it be wrong to say that you have to enforce how long those jobs are? It would be, right? You don't enforce them, right?
I can work with city ordinance.
Yeah, but that's what I mean.
So-
An ordinance tells you to do something.
Right.
You're just gonna come and look at it when it's finished to say, yes, it meets all the standards.
Or steps along the way. that
Yeah, or the
require
process
to.
along the way. Yeah.
But you're not telling, you can't tell them they're taking too long.
Yeah, I can coax.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I don't know, yeah, to try to wedge.
But it's those onesies and twosies that always, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah, and it's,
where do the homes that have issues on the exterior fall? Is that,
like outside, like if they don't have a permit and it's really like a pile, to say for leaf.
that, and we have one home that all the siding is off of it.
Yeah.
And it has sat there for, I don't know how many years, but at some point, things are gonna be rotten.
Yeah, we wrote
Yeah, that's-
that. It's a tough spot for the city, and as in building code too, dilapidated structures. It has to get to a point.
Where it's basically falling down.
I
I
mean,
mean, that's what I don't wanna go there, Gail, because we've had these, it talks about ordinances all the time, but it's one of those things that if you can't prove it without going onto the property and violating somebody's rights for their property, it's very tough.
Yeah, we've done that, you know, we'll send out a letter, call, and you can walk and knock on the door, but you can't linger, and then you're trespassing, so.
Well, this particular house is gutted on the inside, so there's nobody living there.
No, there's no one there.
And I've been involved with, structures like that where you can actually see that it's unsafe, where, you know, whatever, the roof might be coming in, then that turns into an attractive nuisance, issue. So then it's a public safety issue, then I can get in there, then there's a specific statute that we can cite, for dealing with that home. The bite of that is I can get in there and say, yeah, it's structurally deficient, it's got to come down. 30 days, the order goes out. 30 days later, nothing happens, still nothing happens. I could even go to court for a year, nothing would happen. Then the city would have to take it upon them to demolish, to remove the
Right.
safety.
Right.
And that's like Janesville, we had that, maybe that's about 8 years ago already, maybe even longer, that they had to knock down a commercial building and it stung, it was 50,000 out of their budget.
Oh, yeah, I've been through that on Main Street.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're
20 years
it's
ago.
expensive.
I think-
so.
I think maybe let me and Dan and Mike discuss those properties, and then I'll let them drive by and just kind of maybe give their opinion on what we
I'd
can
like
do.
to compare that list because there's some pretty ugly looking situations on shingles in a few houses too.
If we could actually see, the big thing that catches my eye would be a structural deficiency.
That's what I'm talking
So
about.
if it's, okay, if it collapsed, kids nearby, that kind of stuff, then.
Okay.
then you
But
can
as
leave
far
it.
as- So she's talking shingles, when does it become a point that you would get involved in
I'm
that?
shocked at
Because
Yeah,
even a
shingles-
crappy looking shingle still is doing its job.
No,
it's-
I mean bad,
Yeah, it'd be,
where there might be some missing and
it would
things
be a
like that.
hole in the roof, rotting the trusses.
You would
or
think.
that rafters
Yeah.
to get you to that structural
Mhm.
deficiency.
But he's
So
got to be able to inspect that.
It would have to
Right.
go a long ways.
Yeah, you can't see that from.
That's why it's such a crappy thing, because there's so much gray.
It's a lot of gray area, a lot of tap dancing.
Are you allowed to use a drone to go up above?
I've never thought of that.
Because you're not going on their property.
Yeah, airspace? I guess that's only the White House, right?
The problem if he's doing it on behalf of a public person or for even for him, he's gonna have to be certified by the FAA to do that. So,
Yeah. Because you're in the fly zones.
It's a flyover,
Interesting.
right?
yeah.
No,
And then
you guys-
there's arguments about, so yeah, I can see into your main floor windows if I'm walking by, which is a perfectly legal thing, but now if I come up to the second floor windows, which I normally could not see from standing on the ground, and now I'm seeing inside your private stuff, then you now opened a whole nother can of words about privacy and
Fourth
all that
Amendment
kind of,
gets.
yeah, search and
Absolutely.
seizure, and, so yeah, it's just.
We get into that.
Well, I was just questions on, where, who can do what, because there's some pretty nasty.
I would say if any of you have those properties in mind, please get them to me, I'll make a list, and then we'll address them.
We
Put our
have
heads together. Sometimes there's, and you're probably aware, Tony, is that there's grants, fix-up funds.
Right.
During the first downturn, they had fix-up funds come in, and I know Janesville did a lot of Main Street stuff. They had some grants. that they
Yeah,
did
we do have some
secret-
fix-up funds that's supposed to be more for Main Street, but I know that Jody and Matt and a few of us had conversations at ED meetings about doing some sort of community-wide fix-up type of program, so.
Yeah, we talked about, when I was in the sewer, they talked about a community fix-up fund, where it's actually, I don't know how they were gonna fund it, whether it's taxes or, I
But
don't know.
doesn't Minnesota Valley Action get involved in some of that?
They can.
There's income
Depending
based.
on income,
Stuff
yeah.
with
Is it Tim
HVAC.
Denny?
No, that's
That's-
South.
Heath
Yeah.
Smith,
Yeah.
Okay. Because he has free paint.
so.
Well, those were just some questions I had.
So does that answer your questions, Jody, about the process and
Yes.
things like that?
Yes.
But yeah, if there's anything that pops up, concerns, questions, comments, ticked off, give me a shout.
Sure.
We'll jump on it and investigate it anyway, so.
Okay.
You're time, you can't really call me about complaints.
Now, Tony, you You just
Sorry.
gave us a copy of the agreement?
Yeah, that's just an updated contract for us for the new building code,
Okay,
to bill off the new rates.
and so we need to sign that?
We need
I can sign it on behalf of the city as long as it's approved by the city council,
Okay.
so.
And we'll be approving that.
So, yeah,
With the
resolution
resolution?
2209 will adopt those charges and authorize signing the contract.
Any other questions for Dan before we move on to the resolution?
Not for me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dan. I'll be in
Thanks,
touch too, and we'll go through the process.
Sounds good to me, thank you.
Thank
You
you.
were city administrator when I first started inspecting here.
And I wasn't an administrator, I was just a clerk.
Just a.
Yeah.
I like that.
Just a
No,
clerk.
They decided after I was long gone that they'd make it more professional name. I was clerk treasurer. Did you start that far back?
It was 2004.
I left in
Metro West.
05.
And then I started on in 05, yeah, so. Yeah.
Good memory.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, it's fuzzy.
I don't normally care to be remembered that long.
That far back.
Yeah, that's such a long time ago.
Still alive.
All right.
Thanks,
Well,
Dan.
thank
Have a good
you.
day.
Thanks, Dan. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Todd. I will do that. All right, we'll see y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
I move to approve, or adopt resolution 2209, updated building permit check.
Second.
Okay, motion by Jody, seconded by Chad to approve the resolution 2209. You have any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And I move to approve the contract with Dan Murphy for the city building inspection services.
Whoa, where's that?
Right after, and number 2/contract, second. I'll make a second.
You're talking about the fees?
No.
I think
Well, yes.
it's part of that resolution, Jordan. I
Yes.
think we're fine with just one.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need
Alright.
both?
Yeah.
no,
Oh, okay.
that's why you lost me there for a second.
Okay. I thought,
Then if you want to tack that second resolution, you might as well knock that out of the park.
Let's do that, resolution 2210, accepting financial donation from ambulance.
Yep, so the county annually donates money towards the ambulance. They've offered a $2,500 donation, so I'm just asking for us to accept that donation.
From the county to the
Yep.
ambulance?
Correct.
Nice.
So move.
second,
Motion by Lauren, seconded by Jody to approve resolution 2210, accepting a donation. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? Carried. I'm signing these quickly here.
Alright.
You want to hand that to Tony,
Sure.
please?
Thank you.
Okay, now we're down to additional police department garage cooling quotes.
Yeah, I don't know what you want to do with this. I still think this is becoming an astronomical price. I don't know if I'm ready for you guys to accept one of these yet. If you want to table it till the next meeting, I want to do a little more research because we're looking at,
It's a lot of money.
$7,000.
Yeah.
That's
No
not
matter which way you
budgeted.
put it, and that just seems awful
That's not budgeted.
crazy
Mhm.
for me. So
Yeah.
if somebody wants to table it, I would be okay with that.
Would it entertain a motion for that?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Motion by Chad, seconded by Lauren to table the police department garage cooling quotes. Any other discussion?
Yeah, can I say, I want to ask a question. So this is primarily because it gets so hot in there, but because we're replacing batteries.
We're replacing batteries. I'm concerned about the equipment in the squad cars, some
Oh.
life-saving equipment,
Oh,
things
okay.
like that. Also, there's like drug test kits and stuff like that that kind of have to stay at certain temperatures so they function properly.
Okay,
And then there's also issues with like evidence collection things like dusting for prints and stuff. If that gets too moist or things like that, it ruins that stuff.
okay.
So it's a
It's
much
a whole
larger
group
problem
Than
than,
just the battery.
yeah, than just
Okay.
the batteries.
I'd
Alright,
say
good.
leave the car outside, then it wouldn't get all hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, just lock it up.
The problem is, you know as well as I do that wouldn't end well. So.
Yeah, there'd probably be some vandalism.
I appreciate you listing those other things, because all we've ever heard is about the battery.
Well,
Someone just told me that he would not do that to a battery.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, ask Isaac. Isaac will tell you that that will wear down a battery big time. Like,
Okay.
it was very common, well, that one year we replaced 3 when I was chief. I pulled in there and you'll notice, you'll know what's gonna happen because all of a sudden you'll smell a very faint odor of rotten eggs, very faint. And then the next time you pull in, it'll be substantially strong. And then I knew there was a problem, and so I drove it to Ike's. And when they popped the hood and took the first cable off, the battery blew.
Really?
The stuff came out of it. So it's significant. So
Yeah, that's not good.
not only that, but in the winter it's very cold in there, and the same problems exist
Just in
both
reverse.
ways, just in reverse.
Okay.
So it is something that needs to be addressed, but
Yeah,
we're already to almost August.
Yeah.
When it's not budgeted for, and I really did not expect it to be $7,800.
oh man, I was
Yeah,
thinking,
there's gotta be a cheaper alternative.
So I'd like to look into it a little deeper.
okay.
What time frame are we giving them?
I'll have a report again next meeting.
Any
Move the
other-
table.
We already got
Yeah,
that.
that's already.
Did we?
Yeah, we were in the discussion.
I better
mode.
pay attention.
Yeah. Any other discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Man,
What?
police department.
All right, I have received one inquiry on the chief of police position since it's been posted.
Wow,
Um,
one's better than none.
Yeah, haven't got really anything else. We had actually quite a lengthy discussion on benefits because the individual that contacted me, who seemed relatively interested in applying for the position, has 4 children and does not have another person to cover insurance for his children. And so I kind of explained that we cover the insured employee and everything above and beyond that is kind of your responsibility, and the conversation kind of started to end shortly thereafter.
Sure.
Of course.
Well,
Just a note to just keep thinking about. That's just what so the position closes the 5th of, oh, Chad, you didn't tell me my calendar's not turned.
I can't see them little numbers. I'm just going over there.
Can you read
August.
June
I can see June, but I can't see the rest.
August 5th,
which
Is
is.
when it's
So that's a
John's.
Friday, right?
so that hopefully the meeting on the 8th you would know
Some
what we
information.
have for, yeah.
So are we opening a can of worms if we're sitting there saying, let's think about adding benefits so that person would?
I think that's a discussion we have if you find a candidate you wish to have. And I don't think there's anything wrong with discussing that.
Can you have ballpark figures for what that would cost then?
I can ask. I'm sure that it would be whatever rate Michelle found out when she was.
It was astronomical.
Yeah.
You know, we pay for the employee, which I think was around $1,300, and the employee would have to pay a couple thousand for family.
I can imagine that.
But, there is ways to discuss things like that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with, I know that you had mentioned something about potentially an employment contract with a chief of police at one time or whatever, and I don't know if that's something that's normally done, but there's nothing wrong with saying that we want you to come here, we would be happy to help, the city would be happy to give you $500 a month to help towards family health care
We
coverage.
kind of talked about
But-
that one time.
So I don't know, I have to
But
look
isn't
into all that,
Is-
but
Well, isn't that essentially what the plan was, where we were paying the employee share, and then that $300 was to go?
no, that's to help cover the deductible.
That was for that.
Yeah, because the deductible on that policy is $4,000 out of pocket. So we were given $1,600 to help him pay almost half of it, well, not even anymore, but it was half of the
$1,600 a year,
deductible.
yeah.
So I don't know, I don't know what's gonna happen. A lot of times, you won't hear anything, and then the last week that it's open, you'll get tons. So I'm kind of hoping that that's what's happening. He asked for the salary numbers, wasn't real enthused when I told him, but I said, we're going through a compensation process, and so he peaked up a little bit. But I did post the salary numbers on the site so that people have them and are aware of them before they call.
Close proximity to us?
I didn't ask. I
Oh.
didn't get into a
Just a
lot of
phone call.
details. Yeah, he wanted to know about what the expectation for schedule was, how many officers there was, that kind of stuff. So, and I have no idea where he was from. So, But he was very thorough, very interested, so,
How about our interim, or where are we at with that?
well, that's next.
Is-
So, that's all I have anyway on that, so.
Okay, oh, I see, I'm sorry. Maybe I better pay attention.
Well, I could say something.
All right, so, well, thank you for that, Tony. I mean,
Yeah, thanks.
at least we got one, but doesn't sound solid.
I got a couple weeks yet.
Yeah, we got some time.
Here comes police car now.
Okay, Tony on B.
Yep, so I had a very nice conversation with Officer Bruger, and we talked about all kinds of different things, and, I can honestly say that after our conversation, she is comfortable and willing to take on the role as an interim chief of police, as long as I provide her with some help and guidance, which obviously I will definitely need that. Her thing was with the added responsibility, she felt that she shouldn't be getting paid part-time wage to, if something goes wrong when she's on our license, her license is gone. It's no longer anybody else, so she feels she's taking a bite, you know.
Sure. That's
So,
reasonable.
so my suggestion would be to authorize her to be the interim police chief effective on 8/5/22 at 4:00 PM. And I would say that for the hours that she works in that role, and only as interim police chief, she gets paid the entry level of salary for the police chief at $25.66, which is what Josh started at when he started as chief.
Did she commit to hours then? I know
She
you
wants
talked
to
about
do, she wants to do more at this time. She's unable to find care for her children, but she can work 3 days a week at this moment in time, right now.
that. Okay,
And then she asked if we would prorate benefits, based on the fact that she is more than likely looking to do regular or full-time, should that become available.
benefits as in
Just sick and
leave,
vacation,
second leave, okay.
so.
I think this is important with school starting and
I-
buses out on the roads.
I agree with you 100%.
all athletic activities beginning, there needs to be a presence, even at school, once or twice a day. And so kids aren't going, well, I got no police coverage, let's go crazy. You know, let's do some crazy stuff today.
Never had a police when I was in school. Neither
Well,
did
they
you.
didn't come
Jody,
to school.
things have changed a little bit since you were in school.
That's true,
Things
but
have changed a little bit since I have been in school.
that's true, but I'm just saying.
And I think that the mentality with teens and millennials and other things these days, there's not quite the same mentality that used to be back in the days. And
No, we never
Okay.
used to have school resource officers, and now it's, we never had dogs going to school looking for drugs either.
No.
so
I'll make
I,
a
You
motion.
know,
I think the
Shotgun
sorry, yeah,
motion.
I'll stop talking.
All right,
no, that,
Jason made a motion. So.
I'll make a motion to authorize, what's her name?
Officer Bruger.
Bruger, as the interim police chief with an effective date of 8/5/22 at 1,600 hours at $25.66 an hour
With prorated benefits.
with prorated benefits.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Jason, seconded by Jody, to approve Officer Bruger as police chief. My only comment might be when you say prorated benefits, I would probably say prorated leave.
Leaves.
Okay.
Otherwise,
If you're okay with amending your motion, I will
Yes.
change the language.
otherwise
prorated
it
leaves.
sounds like insurance and everything.
Okay.
Correct.
Reasonable?
yes.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do we need, well, let's take care of this next one, the resignation.
Yep, we have not formally accepted this one, so this is our full-time officer, James Johansson, who is leaving for the sheriff's office as well. Submitted his resignation his last day to be August 10th.
At 0400. It's 4:00 in the morning for you civilians.
All I know is it's too early for me.
I'll make a motion to accept Officer Johansson's resignation.
Second.
Motion by Chad, seconded by Lauren to approve the or accept the resignation of Officer Johansson effective August 10th, 2022. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Do we have the paper online?
No. They weren't.
I think just Dylan Arnold.
They need to correct their headlines, I believe,
Yeah.
from the last article.
Well, they had the information wrong.
Yes,
Well,
they
yeah.
did.
I'm sure I'll talk to Jessica or Eli because they're not here, so.
What was it?
Well, they
It
said
said
three,
three people got a job at the sheriff's office. It
Yeah.
wasn't three.
and it had already been, the other two had already been accepted resignations and noted that they were not going back into law enforcement.
Yeah, it was messed up.
So if you could, I
Yep.
think that should be printed in the paper.
I'll ask Eli.
Appointment recruitment discussion on full-time police officer.
I just kind of would look for some guidance. I asked the current remaining part-time staff if anyone was interested in the full-time job. I did receive one letter of interest from one of the full-time people, and I don't think that they would be a bad person to have in the position. But I also believe, I can't honestly say to you that that person is going to be one that stays for sure. And so I'm wondering if maybe acknowledging the internal candidate, if we were also to post that full-time position and also look outside and kind of do a combination to see if we should hire from outside or from within.
Based on your recommendation, I guess I agree. That person, since that person is part-time, should probably apply like anyone else. Not that, we would not look at it, but
Right.
I think you should post it.
Okay, so then my question is, would you be okay with me letting that person work full-time in the interim until we get through that process so that we have coverage?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think we
it's a good
treat
idea.
that the same as the chief.
Okay,
Yeah, right.
so then what I would request is a motion to authorize posting the full-time position and allowing part-time staff to fulfill full-time hours for that position until we hire somebody for that position.
Yeah, what you said.
Are you talking about an interim
I'm not giving
or
them
just having them?
just making sure that if a part-time works 40 hours a week, it's not a
Part-time.
Right.
And this is gonna be at part-time wages or?
Yes, yeah. But the part-time wage is the same as starting a full-time officer,
Okay,
so.
yeah, I think we changed that, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion by Chad, seconded by Jason you've got the wording?
Yep.
To approve part-timers to fill that full-time position and post it.
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I would like authorization to purchase a bulletproof vest for Brandon Herman. Half of it would be paid for by federal reimbursement and half of it would be paid for by state reimbursement.
Is this half that's get paid by federal, is that next year?
It'll be, well, it depends on if funds are available, we'll get that before state. We usually get the Fed first before the state.
Which is far out?
Well, I shouldn't say that. July 1 was the first part of their CERC, so if we get it in now, we might get it this year yet.
Doesn't he have one now?
No, well, he's using one that is not expired, that is used. This would be his own personal new vest.
So when our officers leave, are those vests turned back in?
We retain them
Right.
as long as they are not over the 5-year expiration period.
What is it? They spoil like milk, or is it?
The manufacturer
Or
will not guarantee the ballistics of the vest after 5 years. So we can allow them to wear that, but if they get shot and die after 5 years,
I hear you.
then it's our
I
problem.
get that, but
And the state and feds pay for the whole vest, so
Yeah,
we just have to
like
wait,
everything
we just have to
else
wait for
out
the
there.
money. So
So just to clear it up, when they leave, they have to leave the vest.
So there's numerous options that we can either retain the vest and give it to somebody else, or like in either of these situations, because James's vest was from somebody else and Josh's vest was from Albert Lee. So we didn't have those, but a lot of times because the vests usually don't fit another person. They're kind of fit to like my vest ain't gonna go on Chad or, on Jason, it's not gonna fit. So a lot of times what'll happen, because you can only get reimbursement every 5 years for a person. So like if we get reimbursement for Jody, if he goes to another agency in 2 years, they can't give him another vest. The only way they can do that is if I write a letter to the other department saying that we've retained the vest, then they can go after the grant funds. Or I say to Jody's new department, I say, hey, give us $600 for the vest, and then he can take it with him.
Okay, I think bottom line is we are not interested in paying for vests and then they take them with, so as long
Right.
as you say there's.
No.
Right,
No.
okay, as long as you
No.
Yep.
got a hand.
Yeah, so we will pay,
Realize it's
ultimately,
better.
we will pay this full price, and then in a month or a year, we will get the reimbursement back.
Do they have an option of the other police department paying for that vest, or are they paying for it personally to take it?
I guess if one of the officers wanted to take their vest when they left and paid the city for it, I don't see why we wouldn't let them take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I was
I mean,
thinking.
there's no reason for us.
I never knew that.
Especially if they're kind of sort of personalized.
What,
So moved.
what has been done in the
Second.
past? Okay. Motion by Lauren, seconded by Chad. Guess we're putting this to bed here.
Well, we shouldn't be
To
discussing.
approve
until we
the
have a motion.
bulletproof vest for Officer Herman. Any other discussion?
Now you can ask.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
In the past, to be completely honest with you, most people either haven't stayed here for 5 years to have a vest long enough, or the few part-timers that have gone through here, I've had a vest that had 2 years left on it, and they've just modified the carrier enough that it fits them, and we just have done what we've been able to do.
Okay. New business then, are we there?
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me.
What was that?
Here are the covenants.
Home stake.
So the EDA approved modification to the homestay covenants, and so they have been asked to be presented to you to be approved. The language in red was stricken, so it struck in the manufactured or modular homes and the built on site provisions, and added a provision that the roofing must be asphalt or asphalt-like steel. And then, I think that's it.
Yep. And
So-
straight, no,
And you
no
gotta
flat
let that
roofs.
one be,
It says, well, you can't do anything about it now, but yeah, so. If they ever would re-roof, which they're not gonna probably have to.
Yeah, forever. Well, those roofs, 50 years.
Well,
So,
good thing
I
it's
mean, I
in,
don't think it looks
good
that
thing
bad.
it's in the location it is.
Yeah, 2 more houses have gone up on this side and you won't see it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't think that roof looks that bad.
Which one?
I didn't,
But it's not gonna
New
match
house.
everything else, that's.
No, it doesn't match out there, but.
I didn't think it's that bad either.
I
It had some pitch to it.
So prefab, it's coming in pieces.
Yeah, it's usually just 2 pieces or 3 pieces that they put together.
You know what, I don't have a problem with that if the pitch on the roof doesn't look like it's.
So here's, and I'll just give you a little backstory on this. Sarah Jo and I have been trying to piece together some of this process of how things are done, and I wasn't really happy with the way that things are done. So as of today, or as of yesterday, we have a formal application that needs to be filled out in order to get a lot. And all this information has to be provided before we deed the lot to you. And then the EDA has to look at it first before it even comes to the council. So they have to approve it, and then the council has to approve it before we give you.
that's
how it
how
happens.
So
that's
people
how the
understand.
big developments do it in Rochester. You have to have a certain color, you have to have a certain
Yeah.
pitch of the
Yeah.
roof.
So the nice thing about that is if there's little things wrong, we can catch them, or if we can't catch them in the EDA or the council and they get it out there, then great
Good for
for
them.
them. They did, but this gives us the ability to check those boxes, because right now I'm getting lots of calls where people want to provide us with a pre-approval letter and a design and something else and get the lot so they can have a lot and just pay taxes on the lot, and then we're not doing anything. Well, that's not the whole point. The whole point is to get people to build. So we're trying to.
Bring people to town.
Right. So if we start with this process, we can start having more things, and there's some really cool stuff that Matt and the EDA are talking about potentially to incentivize some stuff. that I'm gonna be digging into before the next EDA meeting, but, this is the start we need to work on.
Yeah.
I think this is good.
Yeah.
What was the reasoning of saying not having a flat steel, not say a flat steel roof, but a straight steel roof?
Because that's what's out there that we
Is
didn't
it just
think
because
that-
somebody doesn't like it?
Well, it just does not match.
It doesn't
The whole
match.
point of the covenants is so that the subdivision kind of looks similar.
So the covenants are the same. So you have, it's like a,
Cookie cutter.
Yes.
That's what a
Yeah.
covenant is. Covenant
I
dictates.
hate cookie cutter.
No.
Anyway, I can vote against it, and that's all.
We don't want trailers out there
Yeah, I
either,
know. I know.
so.
I move to approve the changes proposed for the covenants.
I'll second.
Motion by Lauren, seconded by Jody to approve the amendments to the homestake addition restrictive covenants. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
No? Well, yeah, let's.
Yes.
Yes. 3 ayes and 1 no.
You can say a nay, not a.
Yeah. Okay, railroad tracks. Back in November, I got a letter from a concerned citizen about the condition of the tracks on First Street here.
Yeah.
And I know that there's been discussion with the railroad about that. This particular lady met with someone physically down there. And he took pictures and said, yes, something needs to be done. And now he doesn't return her calls. I'm going to turn this letter over to you, Tony.
Yeah, I've been talking to Doug Christopherson about it. It's something that they're working on too, and he's having the same problem with this guy.
He told her that the holdup is that the city has participation and we have to pay for something. Well, I said, the only thing we should have to pay for is fixing the street.
Yes.
So that
makes
shouldn't be
sense.
the holdup.
No, so what I'm under the assumption, what I've been told is that somebody wants to buy all that track and stuff.
Okay.
And
Like they
then
did on the way to Albert Lee.
our responsibility would be to resurface the intersection from right of way to right of way, basically.
Totally makes sense.
Right, and I don't have a problem with that, and we can discuss that, that's not a problem, but
Getting
Doug's on
that-
the same, he's been getting the same dead end with this person too.
Who's
He
Doug?
was in here a couple weeks ago.
Who's
Well,
that?
I
County
think,
commissioner.
I think maybe it might be time to contact some politicians and get them involved.
Well, the problem is this is a private entity, so it's not a public organization that's trying to buy this up, it's a private person.
So when they take it all up, if they do, it's just gonna sit there like the rest
Well,
of it.
what the county so the plan
County
is
wants
that,
to put a bike path.
yeah,
or
the county wants
Get that
him to
path
take
built,
the
that's what I wish
stuff,
they'd
and then
do.
the county wants to put a bike path.
Yeah.
Well, here's the
They have to
thing,
move
you
all
know,
the railroad
it's
cars
done
up
on
there.
Third Street, it's done on Highway 30. We have 2 streets and they are in awful shape, especially
Well,
this
if
one.
you want me to, we don't have to wait. We could,
Carl?
if we get permission from the railroad company to remove the track, we could redo those approaches at our own pace when Uland comes back to town.
Mhm.
But
But I don't know if
we
you,
need to get permission from the railroad company to do anything.
exactly.
That's probably.
Because my
Good way to start.
experience with the railroad company, when I approached them about all the weeds and stuff, you can do whatever you want to the weeds, you can't touch our property.
Right.
But
Which
it's
means
also,
the tracks.
it's also abandoned, so they don't have to pay the property tax on it too.
Well, if it's
Remind them
abandoned, it
that.
needs to come out.
Can't. You'll never win that one.
No, I
You
understand.
could spray it
but
from
We
off
gotta,
the
we gotta
property and
figure
spray
it
it
out
onto the
Well, you
because
can spray the weeds all you want, but you just can't do nothing.
Yeah, you
this
just
one
can't do anything
here,
with the
this
track
one
or the
here
ties.
is just awful.
It's
It
been
is
needed
bad.
for years. Yeah, you're right. But I think that was the
The one down
thing
the
that
division
was
is
gonna
much
happen with the
better.
railroad track, so we don't wanna dig it up and fix it if something else is gonna happen to it, you know? Not to mention that if the county's paving the trail, it'd be a lot cheaper for them to pave the approaches at the same time they pave the trail than it is for us to pave it.
Okay, but then we're faced with God knows
No,
how long.
that's why I'm saying, that's why Doug and I were having the conversation, is because if we were gonna pave it all at the same time, it would be incentive to do so.
County Highway Department.
It would be awesome if they put a trail through here.
Have you
But if
noticed?
we wait for that to get done,
Oh,
this
I
is only
just
gonna
look
get
at-
worse.
I will-
Elderly
I will-
on 13, they took all the tracks out,
Yeah.
and it just sits there.
I'll talk to the railroad company, because I'm sure that their thing is gonna be, as long as the approach elevation stays the same as it is, so that we can replace the tracks assuming we want to, then go ahead and do whatever you want to. I'm sure that's what's gonna be said. So,
If
Are
you
those
get ahold of
cars-
if
someone.
you get hold of something, yeah.
Are those railroad cars still sitting on the track up by Otisco?
Yeah,
Well, they're gonna have to move those first before they do anything else.
yeah, that's why I don't think there's any hurry to do anything.
Well, it doesn't make any sense. We're talking about two in the middle, the
So they
outside
can't even
ones are
get down
done.
here because the bridge is out,
No, they can't.
so.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So get them out.
Yeah.
So you do what you gotta do.
Okay.
Work your magic, Tony.
Well. Adding a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know. Okay, number 3, protocol on weekend. It's become very apparent that employees don't want to be called on the weekend. But this week, we'll use this weekend for an example. A taxpayer saw the drilling going on in the street down by the liquor store. And apparently they were,
I had 3 people approach me about it and want to know if the council had approved it. I said, I don't think that's a city council approval thing. That's an administrative thing. It would have been nice if I'd have been told, or we would have been told, but I said, that's an administrative thing. Council wouldn't approve that.
I
We did
think,
approve it though. Just
No.
think that we approved
No, we
it.
didn't
We
approve
just closed
pounding
the
holes in the street.
they drilled holes in the
You could
street.
say that's, somebody could say, we approved that.
Well,
Because we
yeah,
approved
and
Finley's.
Well,
Eric and I had already discussed it and talked to other towns, and it
Yeah.
wasn't an issue, so we didn't think anything, and maybe we should have just sent a quick note out, but I guess I didn't think it would. be
That's what I'm
an issue.
asking for, Tony, as far as protocol. Then we don't have to bother you guys on
Yeah.
the weekend, because I can tell you don't appreciate it, but,
Well, I don't
When
know
I-
about that, I was outside working on something when you called, I didn't have my phone on me, so I
Well,
didn't
yeah.
answer.
it was mainly Eric. He didn't want to deal with it, but if we know ahead of time, when we get these calls, we can say, yep, we already know, it's taken
Yeah,
care
and
of.
I just,
Because I told Eric, I said, honestly, if you have done your research, and I told you the same thing, if you guys did your research and you're comfortable with it and they're gonna fix it, I don't have a problem with it. All I wanted to know is, I think we as a council should know those things ahead of time, because it was obvious people were concerned.
yeah, well, and my only concern with that is where do we draw that line?
Well, you'll have to figure it out, because I don't like calling employees on the weekend either.
And I see, I felt like Eric and I did our due diligence to make sure it was gonna be okay.
Well, you weren't the ones they called though.
No, I understand that, but sometimes we have to rely that the people that are doing their job are doing their job correctly.
I'm not saying you didn't. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it would eliminate us having to call you about it if we knew ahead of time that, nope, it's not a problem.
Yeah, but then we go back to where's that line? You know?
Experience, and like I said, let people do their job. I'm curious, how do they fix those holes when they poke holes in it?
They have their own asphalt process that they. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, we called the city of Waseca and we called one other, I don't know what other city Eric called, but we asked them specifically, like, do you have any concerns about doing this? And they're like, absolutely not. They replace it just the way they left it. So,
Right, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy that you guys did your job. I'm not stopping them from doing their job.
I don't have a problem if Eric and I think something's gonna come up, I can send out a quick note, that's fine. But there's some things that it just doesn't make sense.
Some things won't, it honestly won't, but drilling in the street concerned people apparently.
yeah, but maybe we
They
need
didn't
to,
even,
when we
you
get
want,
the
you want,
calls.
you want no concern to Eric and I, they don't get locates.
They don't
So they never call locates.
Right, because the call I got said they were going down 4 feet.
And it wasn't 4 feet, but
No,
it probably did look like it.
Maybe a foot and a half.
well, I wasn't even in town when I
They
got
got
the
a
call,
stake that's
so.
about 18 inches.
Yeah, no, they replace everything the way it was and they use their own asphalt product to fix it back up.
That's fine.
And they had 120 tents out this weekend or something like that. So, I mean, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they knew what they were up against.
yeah, I'll talk to Eric about, we'll just have to try to figure out what we think is gonna.
Well, I think anything else, I can't think of anything else.
I'm not putting up a tent for my party.
I can't
Well, if
think
you
of,
do, don't drill in the street.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
I'm putting up an awning in my driveway, but that's just a pop-up.
seriously, I can't think of another example
Yeah.
where we would have to know.
Yeah.
But
I just want those people to know that Eric and I discussed this well in advance and did our research and talked to people so that they don't think like we're just.
Well,
doing stuff.
you know, for us then, maybe the mayor and the city council, maybe our default answer to somebody asking questions like those is, I trust what the city administrator and the city.
Well, I don't think
employees
there's
do.
anything wrong with asking questions.
And if you have any questions, call them on Monday.
I just think that from now on, if we have any weird things that come up like
Weird.
that, we'll just
yeah,
shoot a note out.
you have to define weird.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I agree.
I guess it's fair. If me and Eric were questioning it and making that call, maybe we should have said something about it, but.
I don't want you guys to think that should have come to the council. That's not where I'm going
No.
with this. I don't want to bother you guys on the weekend either. So, you know, if we can avoid that, that would be great.
Well, and the other thing with that too is, I don't know. So the other thing with that too, and I haven't had a conversation with Eric about this, and maybe I'll have a conversation
The
with him.
priority field.
There's times when Braden's on call and he's on call. We gotta figure out a way on who to figure out to call.
Calling
That's
tree?
the other part of my concern too, is what is their system? Is there someone on call during the weekend?
Yes.
Then that's the person that should get
Right.
the call.
And I think with the system, the phone system we have from Midco now, I'm thinking it's probably fairly easy for me to set up that schedule.
I was
where
just gonna say that.
You can call the maintenance number and it would ring a cell phone.
Oh.
But let me look, just let me do some
Good
digging
idea.
into that.
I bet you're right.
Whoever's on call.
That would be great.
All right.
Cause I think Eric gets all the calls right now.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
Right. Pay the cost, be the boss.
All right, Tony, you're on.
All right, met with the ambulance executive board. I attended election judge and head election judge training. If you're ever into 2 hours of fun stuff to do, offer you the ability to go next time with me.
Well,
Eric and I attended a joint buildings and grounds city of Richland meeting regarding Legion Field. Flushed out some information of stuff that they want to do.
Such as?
There's about $150,000 worth of upgrades and improvements that need to be made.
Yikes.
And I would say probably
Sorry.
half of that is need and half of it is want,
I was
but
just
it
gonna ask
all
that.
makes sense. So I'm having some continued conversations with them because we're trying to figure out how that works. Eric reached out to the city of Alden, and I don't know how he figured out to do that, but Alden has a baseball and softball field that the city owns, and they have a joint powers agreement for maintenance of the field. And then the city makes a charitable contribution every year to upgrades and stuff for the field. So I provided that information to the school, and so we're still just talking about lease versus joint powers versus sell it for buck, all kinds of stuff. So I'll have more on that as we work down that side. Coordinated business systems was finally able to get our smart search operating properly, so we can now scan from our copier right to smart search and code stuff through the invoice system, which is outstanding. Met with MCPA regarding our permit for the wastewater treatment plant. That's gonna take some time. Phosphorus and chloride are the two things that we have to get a variance for, so, but we'll have to talk to Bolton and Mink and then People Service and create a written statement, so all that'll be before you for the second meeting in August.
I think their contract has gotta be almost up with People Services. It's either this year or this spring.
Yeah, I have to dig into
Next
that
year, I
anyway. Filed sales tax, worked with the auditors. I believe the care center audit is done. I was supposed to have it, but I haven't seen it yet.
I asked today, I think it's supposed to be done this week sometime. They had like one thing to do or something.
Okay, well, we're running up against the deadline, because August 15th is our deadline.
What's that?
I said, geez, it's taking a long time.
It is.
Positive note, LGA was deposited into our account, and that's
Right.
just a little over $200,000.
And that's
Nice.
half, right?
I
Yeah.
believe that's the first half.
I think you're right. I think the
And then
other,
the second half of our ARP funds were deposited as well, which is another like 63,000.
Yay.
Employee recognition for this time around, Justina Severmer on the ambulance, 1 year. Dylan Arnold, 6 years in the fire department. Shannon Young, 19 years on the fire department. Tyler Hansen, 14 years on the fire department.
Wow,
So
That's
those are
great.
nice.
our anniversaries for this month, no birthdays for this time around. Unless you have any other questions, that's all I got for you.
I do have a question. Minnesota, what did we get a membership for? Minnesota Valley, what was that for?
Oh, that's for that council of governments.
Are they doing anything
Yeah,
for
yeah,
us?
she's out on maternity leave at the moment, so I'm working with the executive director. So it's just not as fast because that's not her job is just to oversee stuff.
And what are you working with him on?
We're talking about those few things that we talked about in ordinances and policy manuals and things like that. They've done a review on the stuff that I had sent.
Well, that's what got me to thinking about it. I was kind of looking through the employee policy. That's thick.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if we paid for membership, are they helping you with that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's sporadic at the moment right now. I've been working on other things that need to be addressed, right, because we're going into, I just got notification that our workers' comp renewal is due and taxes and preliminary budget, and so I just am trying to navigate through the next month and a half.
Okay.
But, yes, so they'll review that, and I'm probably actually gonna shoot them our job descriptions too and have them take a second look at them.
sure,
Yeah, good idea.
absolutely.
But yeah, so we are discussing, she actually reached out to me today's Monday, and asked how things were going, so it's, it's a work in progress, so.
Okay,
And Jason's been added to their email effective like Friday of last week, so you'll start seeing emails from
Okay.
them, so.
so as far as reviewing the employee policy and working on the budget, what's our plan?
We probably need to have a few work sessions.
Yeah.
And I think today, every department head got copies of
What we did?
what we had for, they'll have copies of 2021 budgeted, actual 2022 budgeted, and what's to date, and then a line for 2023. And I highlighted like the wages spot, which I'll figure that out, but everything else I said, if you see a discrepancy or a spot we need to talk about, fill those out for me. So Eric's got street water and parks. Josh has got PD, but that's gonna fall back on me, which is fine because I got that pretty much done. Ambulance got to Sarah. Admin and council all handle election. We don't have an election next year, so hopefully, so that should be nothing. So yeah, so my suggestion I think is I think street and water's gotta be one by itself, just with the enterprise funds and everything. We just gotta talk about everything, rates and.
And we
everything.
really can't go deep into that until we get the audit, see where we're at.
Yeah,
Alright.
so I did email Tom Friday and haven't heard back from him.
It's important we have that information.
When do we expect that?
Tom will get back to me this week.
Within the month?
The audit,
We have to.
I think what'll probably happen is the care center audit will come back and go to Abdo. They'll tie up their loose ends, and I'm assuming it's probably gonna be submitted to the state before we see it, because I think it's gotta be to the 15th of August. I don't know if we can get another extension.
We already had an extension?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You don't think we'll have it by the next meeting?
I'm hoping so.
Which would be August 8th. right?
Yep.
cutting it close.
They know, they're well aware, and, yeah.
Would it hurt to let them have a friendly reminder?
Oh, they've had Kevin gave a friendly reminder to Siegfried
Okay.
at Larson Allen, and I think that's why that got caught up. And so we're just waiting on and it sounds like once they have the care center audit and spit the funds into ours is done. It's just a matter of.
Getting that number.
This whole audit process has been a nightmare.
But a lot of that was because for the last year and a half, in lieu of taxes hasn't been taken care of, things have been coded incorrectly, and I've played a lot of investigative discovery on trying to figure out why things were coded and where they went.
And I would venture to guess that it probably won't happen like that again.
I hope so, I hope.
I don't think so.
I'm just.
So-
I think
smart
they
ass.
were in the same situation where we were.
Well, the biggest problem is,
COVID, money was being paid, you know, they're waiting. And
the biggest problem is we had turnover in both places at the same time.
Yes,
So nobody knows the history of
Yeah.
where stuff was at.
Right.
And so it was just a matter of, it actually finally took me, I called Wayne and I said, I can't find this. And this is the number and this is what it was billed. And he goes, that was the ECPN payment for the end of the year for the care center. 10-second phone call, we had to figure it out. I called Larson Allen back and I said, that's what it's for. And we looked back and tracked it and that's where it came from. So it's just a matter of having that history and figuring out where it is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and the care center switched finance people also, not only
they were in the
lead.
same boat we were.
Yeah, except they, executive director, we lost two, they also lost finance person.
The other problem
Which
is they
bid?
switched from paying, so when Tammy was there, Tammy was the previous one, right? Or
Susan.
Susan. When she was there, they were paying ECAPN either annually back to us,
Or not.
and then we changed it to monthly. So then that's where the discrepancy happened, because they couldn't figure out why there was such a huge health insurance payment.
Oh, yeah, because it
But
was
an
annual
ECPN
versus
payment
monthly.
versus annual versus monthly. So that's where we got caught up, because they thought that payment was in lieu of taxes. And then I looked back and in lieu of taxes hasn't been billed for 2021 or 2022, so I just sent all that information. So that's not what it was. So we still have like 24,000 in lieu of taxes coming from them between 21 and 22. So hopefully that'll all get straightened out.
And then we can do the budget.
Yeah, and the budget is gonna be, we're gonna have to really torque people off for the preliminary, I think, just to be safe.
Just so we can come
So we
down.
can go where we need to go.
Yep.
I think we have to shoot high and just tell people, we're gonna fix this, but we need a starting point.
Yeah, 'cause we can't raise it once you said it.
Right.
But we
And I hope we don't get to that point, but I would rather discover those problems and deal with them than to go, crap, we should have actually.
Yeah, right.
10,000.
I agree.
That's not a good idea.
That's right.
So, and that's due by the end of September, by the 30th of September, so.
September 15th, I thought it was.
I thought so too, but I checked
Is it the 30th?
I checked the League of Minnesota Cities important dates and it said by September 30th.
Oh, okay.
I'm still gonna shoot for the first meeting in September to do
What's the county
preliminary.
required?
Okay, so with that being said, we're still back to what are we thinking for work
Yeah,
sessions?
so I don't know, do you want, I don't think it makes sense to discuss. I don't think it makes sense for us to sit down on a work session with staff until after the preliminary is set. I think we get numbers from them and I glance to make sure I think that those are okay. We set them high. And then we bring them in and talk about each line item at that time.
Okay,
So I can.
so we don't need a work session for a budget? Is that what
No,
you're
we
saying?
will,
After.
but I think after the preliminary is
How
set.
soon is that preliminary?
Unless you wanna have one for just us and we take all their stuff and talk about
I can't remember, but we don't have to have a public hearing for the preliminary?
it. No,
No.
That's just the
How
final.
soon do you have to have a preliminary?
before
30th.
September.
End of September.
So we got 2 meetings.
Yeah.
3.
So we can do one of two things. I'm not gonna be at the next meeting. I'm on vacation.
No
So
way.
Sarah will be here. So we can either do a work session like a week between those two meetings on like a Wednesday or something, and then have finish up, or we can do it during a regular, I mean, our regular meetings aren't taking that long. So, it just all depends on what you wanna do.
So
I
what,
think maybe with the budget, if you're gonna do the initial penciling, we probably could do at the end of a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could whip that out pretty fast.
I think so too. Because I would have all the department heads stuff with notes about what is what.
Yes.
so what date would that be?
I can tell them to have it back to me by a certain time.
No, but I mean, what date would that be for us to? be
Oh,
able to
so
do
the
it?
second meeting in August, so, yeah,
22nd?
While you're not here.
Hang on,
I know I'm
20
gonna be gone sometime, but I'm not sure
22nd.
when.
Yeah.
22nd of August?
That's fine.
That's after. Sunglasses a little.
Yeah.
I'm good then. I was just thinking about,
My thought process there is, if we go through that night and you guys have some follow-up questions, it gives me until the first meeting in September to just verify those last questions before we adopt the preliminary.
Do you think the audit is gonna play an important part in
I think in the enterprise funds it will.
the enterprise funds, we don't have to worry about as far as September deadline?
No,
No.
but I want those done before
I do too.
soon.
Mhm.
We've already lost a lot of money in the,
Yeah, and I got new numbers from garbage and stuff like that too, so I can work those in, make sure that those are correct.
when's that garbage contract up? 23?
it was a 6-year agreement.
Yeah, but I think it's 23. It was in before I came on council.
It's only been in effect a couple of years. Me,
You know,
Yeah.
it was on the year before I became.
I'll have to look,
when did you come on?
but
Well, 22,
the biggest problem now is
19.
the majority of
18 when it happened.
the majority of people
I
that
think so.
were against it have come in and said they're for it now. So it may be a different, and we can negotiate, so that's what it is. But I do know that we need to increase our charging because we're off a little bit for garbage, so.
They don't raise it much each year.
I think it's written in the contract, they can go up to 3%.
Yeah, it's pretty minimal, but still, we need to keep up with it.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, so I'll do my best to get it done, but I think that if we shoot for that, I'll tell them that I want their stuff no later than the 15th of August. That'll give me time to look at it before the meeting and put together a preliminary for you guys to look at.
And that gives them plenty of time also.
Yeah.
Employee policy, has anybody looked at that?
I looked at the initial one.
The one that he just gave us?
What,
Six-
2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a,
I glanced through it, I didn't really.
okay. I mean, are we ready to proceed with reviewing that again? Is that something you want to review at the end of a meeting?
I'm open. I'm just trying to push whatever I need to push and not push the other stuff, so.
Well, this employee policy, we've been working on since I've been on.
Yeah, I just want everything to January 1 go.
the
Yep,
main thing on that is PTO, isn't it?
The transition is a big part of that.
pretty much,
Won't
'cause
that guy help? I mean, the guy that was just here,
That he won't have anything to do with that.
not benefits, that's just wage. Well-
Okay, but
I mean, we could do that. We could start, I would like to have the preliminary out of the way before we
I agree. Get the budget stuff done.
get the preliminary done, and then maybe in the second meeting in September. if
Yeah,
you wanna do
because
that,
the
let's do that.
auditors are gonna come to a meeting too.
Yeah, the auditors are gonna have to be here, like Jody said, probably the 8th of August.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
well, I want to ask kind of a.
Yeah, that's
By
fine.
October we can.
It isn't a selfish
Adopt
question,
that
but it may sound a
policy.
selfish
Yeah.
question.
I think we can.
If we get paid for a regular council meeting and we get paid for a work session, if we don't do a work session and go extra long on a council session, do we get paid more for
No.
that? That's
No,
what I was wondering. Okay.
But the one thing
Because
I
we can save money
disagree
that way.
with is when we have a work session, it is just as long or can be longer and we get paid $35.
Oh,
Isn't that,
I
Yeah,
think so.
that's what it is,
I don't think that's right.
no.
no, we've talked about this
It's,
before.
yep, it's an extra night and it's just as long as a regular
You
meeting.
still have to prepare for it most of the time too.
So
Yeah,
that's an
figure that
ordinance
time.
that,
Well, let's keep in the back of your head too, I know that we talked about this in writing stuff. I think it's been going fairly well. I mean, I don't see that we're missing anything per se that we wouldn't if I have. I mean, I think we're streamlining the process way better. We have time to talk about things outside of that. I mean, just look at the time we spent on Shell's report tonight because she was here talking about stuff. And that took a long time. And it was important stuff that she needed to talk about, but
I
Means
don't
we're
think
still
this is
8:30 is great.
ridiculous, yeah.
No, this
So,
is-
but now, if you put Eric in that chair and you put the care center in that chair, now we're probably looking at 9:15 just because of the way people talk and we sometimes we get
tonight's
tangents
agenda.
on some things that don't need to be talked
It was a lengthy meeting like you warned us about.
I thought, when you said long meeting, I thought it'd go past this, so
I did too.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah, I did too.
So, but where I was going with that is, you know, I've always, there is communities our size that do one meeting a month.
Yeah, I don't think.
But what my thought process was, maybe we do a meeting and a work session instead of 2 meetings. That way, my thought process is we go through and talk about stuff for the next meeting, and it's kind of all discussed and ready to go. And then we come to the meeting and we do it. And whether that work session is paid at the same rate as the council meeting, it doesn't matter much to me, but
I guess
What,
as long as there's continues to be 2 meetings a month, because I'll tell you what, I don't think we've gotten much done outside of employee issues in the past year.
right, but that's why I'm saying with a work session, one night dedicated to just discuss things.
That might not be a bad idea.
Yeah,
And then we bring them to the next meeting for approval.
and then that meeting tell us what to do in the next work session,
Right.
vice versa.
what if a resident had an issue that couldn't wait till the
Yeah,
regular?
we can always call an emergency meeting, or we can deal
Or
with.
would we be able to hear them during that work session time?
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know, I think we can always hear somebody, but we couldn't take action.
No action.
Well, that would be the easiest way to do it. At least you're taking care of their issue. You may not be acting on it, but you're listening to them, and that's important.
The work session is still an open meeting.
Yeah, anybody can attend it.
Is Tony, do you know, is Ellendale doing anything between their monthly meetings?
I don't think so, but they're half our size.
Well, and you know, a lot of this stems from just having turnover of 2 staff people in my position prior to me. It's just stuff that hasn't been, I mean, once we get everything caught back up where it's supposed to be, including policy manual and pay scales and all this stuff, it's gonna take relatively a lot less time and energy to do stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of getting through it. So maybe we don't even have that discussion, but, yeah, I think. I think we have I think we can do the preliminary budget on the end of a meeting, and I think we can do the employee policy manual at the end of the meeting thing. And then we'll dive into work sessions October, and
We'll discuss it.
yeah, I think we need to have one meeting with just water and wastewater and go through enterprise funds and all that stuff at the same time, just to have an idea
For
of where we're
budget.
at.
Yeah.
And then, you know what, at the next meeting, we do just fire and ambulance, and then, you know, we do PD and talk about administration stuff one, so.
Okay.
Or we,
That's fine.
or if we know someone's not gonna take a lot of time, we can do that one at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
You tell me how you wanna do it, but I think that's a good plan going forward.
Well, let's get through the budget first. You know, I've never been comfortable with our 2022 budget.
Yeah, and I should have the workers' comp renewal done by the end of the week, hopefully. And so I should have those numbers current for next year. I think our policy runs November to November.
And that's gonna be hard to figure because we don't know what the wages are gonna be yet. It's based on wages.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's based on current, so I don't know how you could really.
Well, what happens is then when you come next year and
Right.
have to do the audit and it's a big difference.
Yeah,
we
then you gotta
more.
pay it. I don't know how they can do that, but they do it.
They do it, yeah.
They do it.
It's really
It
fun.
sucks. Huh?
It's really fun.
But it doesn't do work on your car insurance, your home insurance,
No.
but just on your work comp insurance.
Yeah.
Ooh, we base it on your payroll. Well,
That's why they do those audits.
I'll
so
make-
yeah.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I wanna stay. Motion by Chad,
Well,
seconded by Lauren
We'll leave the lights on for you.
to adjourn.
Motel 6?
Yeah. Get you a blanket and pillow, lay right down here. We'll open up the
Yeah.
ambulance for you.
There's no discussion.
Any other real discussion?
My oxygen's good.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.